Hello, welcome back to another video. This is day 17 of 30 days of JavaScript challenge. And again, if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe, like this video, share, and consider becoming a member and supporting this channel. Sorry. Let's start. Cache with the time limit. Okay. By the name itself, it is very clear that we do have time expiring cache and cookies. It's a very common thing in front end. So yeah, it's related to that. I'm definitely enjoying it. They've done some really great work in designing, merging algorithms with practicality of softwares. Let's start. Write a class that allows getting and setting key value pairs, basic key value pairs, which is cache. However, time until expiration is associated with this with each key. I'm enjoying this because I've used all these things in front end somewhere or the other, in back end also. And now I'm trying to implement the algorithm of it. So I'm enjoying that. Okay. The class has three public methods. Set key value duration. Okay, yes. Key will be the main key value and the duration is time until expiration. We also say TTL, time to live. So yeah, accepts an integer key, integer value, and the duration in milliseconds. Once the duration is elapsed, the key should be inaccessible. Okay. Now, inaccessible can mean two things. One, it is there, but it is no one can access it. Or second, we actually delete it. So let's see. The method should return true if the same unexpired key already exists. Okay, if key already exists, return true, otherwise false. Both the value and the duration should be overwritten if the key already, okay. If an unexpired key exists, it should return the associated value, otherwise, okay, and count. Okay, so basically we have to, in this we don't have to implement the function, we have to write technically the entire class, which is divided into multiple functions, okay. So let's start. I know count is a pretty straightforward thing, so let's start with that. But first, let me understand this. They are using prototype. So prototype, whenever I see prototype, I know that I have to use instance, which is this, uh, also known as context. So we have to use that context. We are using for this. So I'll have to create something. So I'll use this dot cache. Now I have two options. I'll go with this one. The other one being the hash map, which I think in one of the previous caching related problems we discussed. At that point also I implemented it like this only, so I'll go with this only just to make sure that I'm able to finish this. Now let's implement the count. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll just copy this entire code and go to JavaScript compiler. Let me remove these comments because we don't need that. And let's use this. And what else? Yeah. Now we have to implement these three things, but let's start with count first. Return this. Because we are inside prototype, we can get the reference of time limited cache using this. And in this, what do we have? We have set the cache, right? So we'll use cache dot length. I don't think length will work, but let's see. Okay, I'll have to use console.log also. Console.log. This is going to take some time. Run. It is undefined. Okay. Size will also not work, I'm sure. I think I'll have to go with keys or something. Let me go with this. JavaScript object keys length. I think object.keys or something like that I will have to use. Object.keys.length. Okay. Dot keys. Because it is not getting dropped down, it becomes object.keys in that object and then length. Object.keys, object.length. Let's try this. And it gave 0. Let me test this if it is correct. So what I will do is I'll add key value and let's see. 1. Great. So this count is working. Now let's go for the getter also. So I think this will be straightforward. This dot return, this dot cache, and in that we have to use the key. And whatever is the value, we will return that. So that's also straightforward. Let's use the set. So for now, I'm not focused on the duration part because if get set is working, then we'll focus on the duration part also. So this dot cache key equals to value. Okay, I'm not focused on returning. Let's return by default true for now. Okay, we'll fix all those things one by one. Let me see if we are able to get values or not. Let's run this again. And we have true, which is from this. We got 42. That means we are able to save it and 1. Great. Now we have to focus on the duration part of it. Okay. So there are two things actually. First is how I want to approach this is I'll use set timeouts to remove this key. Okay. Once the timeout is finished, I'll remove it. Okay. So for that, let me try this. If this dot cache, let me save it. I think I will have to reuse it again and again. So let of value, but we have already value, so I'll use object only. Object. Now object is not equal to undefined. If it is not undefined, that means it already exists, and if it already exists, we can directly return that. Okay. So return. Actually, directly not return that. I think in this case we have to return false. Yes. Else we will have to set this. How can we set this? This dot cache key equals to object, not the object, sorry, value. Okay, and in this case we will return true. So we have taken first thing that set the value only if it is not set or it is not available. Now we have to use duration. So I know by default my brain works in this direction that I have to use set timeout. So I'll use set timeout. I'll have to use some function. What is this? I'll focus on that later. And the timeout will be duration, right? Great. Now here, what do I have to do? After this direct duration, I have to delete this key, right? So I'll simply write delete this. Yes, I think this should work. Let me copy this, go to my code, paste. I'll remove this from here and run and see what happens. Okay, case 1, this set get count get. Okay, what did we got? We got true here. Okay, so we got true for the second value. Second value was set and they were setting a value. So if what was the statement? The otherwise false. We have to return false otherwise. Here we have to return the method should return true if the same unexpired key already exists and false otherwise. So we just did a reverse of that. Let me run this. And the last value is what is the last value? Get. Okay. Get. If an unexpired key exists, if it doesn't exist, we have to return -1. Okay, so we'll do that also. We'll check that also. We are at this get function. Copy. Let object equals to this. Object equals to if it is undefined, return -1. Otherwise, return the object. Let's run this, and now it should work. defined. Spelling mistake. Defined. Okay, the first one passed, second one failed. Why? Set, get, count. Okay, 42 and minus 1. So this is 42 and minus 1. These two are creating problem. After three items, right? So after three, we have a get, and in get, we are getting this one and getting this one also. Okay, I got it. The problem is this is the key, this is the value. 1 is key, 42 is value, 1 is key, 50 is value. So we have to override this value also. They did mention it somewhere. The exist. Both the values and duration should be overwritten. So let's override that. Values and duration. For now, we just have values part. So I'll use this. I'll use this as a common one actually in that case. Or maybe just use it here. Yeah, let's use it here only for now and we'll focus on that later on. Run. I'm doing it one by one actually, just to see if there. Okay, now there is minus one, which I think exists because of the non-duration part of it. So we have deleted it, but what has happened is that we have to update this timer also. Okay, they used one key was 1, 42 was the value. We updated that value also for 50, but the timer is 50 and now timer is 100. So they have updated the timer also. So in this case, we have to override this one. So if we have to override this one, we will have to use clear timeout. And if you have to use clear timeout, we will have to get the ID. Const timeout equal timeout ID equals to this. Now what I will do, okay, I'll have to also add this timeout ID with for each key also. So now my structure will change. Currently my structure was something like this, key and value. Now I'll have to change it to key, object, value, and timeout ID. So what it means is that now key is directly not giving us the value, it is giving an object. So first I will have to update the previous code to use values correctly. So wherever I'm using this dot cache dot key, I'll use dot value, dot value, dot value, dot. In this we are deleting, so not the dot value, dot value. In this we don't need, we are focusing on keys only, so that's fine. So we have got this, and because now the value is a separate part, I can set this timeout ID also. This dot cache key dot timeout ID. Okay, but there is one more thing actually. Here we can delete it. Sorry, clear timeout. First we will have to clear the timeout, which is this dot timeout. But there is one more thing, which is now we again have to set the timeout. That means this code will get replicated. So what I will do is I'll actually get this out to this, convert that into an let is available equals to, instead of object dot this, I'll just use key. Actually, I'll just have to use key, not the value. If it is available, we return true, else false. So return statement should come out also. It might be confusing, but I will explain you each and everything in detail. Don't worry about that. Let's clear this because I'm just clearing this stuff actually. Not return. So now what our code will be doing, it will work something like this. First, it will check if it is available. If it is available, okay, then it will clear the timeout directly because now we know that we have to update the duration, right? So it will directly clear the timeout. Now, if it is available, then also we have to update the value. If it is not available, then also we have to update the value. So either way, this code will get executed. If it is not available, then also we have to set timeout. If it is already available, then we have to update the timeout, and therefore this is again needed. And timeout is the ID that we are setting. So let's run this. I hope this part is clear. Value equals to value. Cannot set properties of undefined value. Why? We have created this key. Okay, got it. We will have to use something like this. Value timeout ID. And we are using those keys also. So basically setting the entire object for this key. Instead going to the value because value doesn't exist at that point. Let me run, let me close this battery issue. Again some issue, let me check. I'm using dot value here. We don't need to use dot value here because we just have to check whether this is available or not. So I'll use this. If key is not available, return one. If key is available, that means object this value is also available. So directly pass value. Okay. Okay, great. So it worked. I'll quickly summarize what I did. First, we focused on the count part. Okay, in this we just trade over the keys to get the cache length. Okay, or the number of keys. Okay. Second is get. So in this we are doing two things. First is checking whether key is available or not. If it is available, then we are returning the value via dot key dot value, and if it is not available, we are returning -1. Okay. Now at the top we created this cache object, empty cache object. Now for setting up the value, we are first checking whether it is available or not. If it is available, we are clearing the timeout which is set earlier. Okay. And if it is not available or it is available in either case, we have to create the new timeout. We have to set it to cache key. We have to set the value also to cache key. So that's straightforward. And yeah, that's it. Let's submit. This I'm doubtful a bit. Let me see. Great, it worked. Let me check other solutions also, or maybe the top solution accepted. Let's see the top solution. So in top solution, they are using date now. Why? They have used map, which is fine. Date now, okay. Now plus duration. Okay, so they are using setting the timestamp and using that timestamp to delete it. Okay, so what we did is that in setter function only we are setting the value that hey, when should it get deleted? When should we remove the key? Okay, but they are using that in getter function, which think I think it is not correct. Why? Is because it's because until unless you don't get a particular key, it will never get deleted. It can be expired, but it won't get deleted technically. That's what I am able to understand this. I might need to go in depth. But in our code, I think our code is better in terms of implementation because as soon as we are setting it, at that point only we are creating a function which is using set timeout to make sure that it gets deleted at the desired time that we need. So I think our code is better actually. We might have used map to make it more better, but clearing it in set function is a better approach. Okay, that's it. Do let me know in comments what do you think about it. I personally enjoyed it. And do comment, definitely share, subscribe, and consider joining. Thank you. Bye bye.